want to take a look here at the formal amendment process, why the Constitution has been able to endure so much change over 200 years. Why was the Bill of Rights added? What is it? And the process for formal change that can be made. So, and we're going to look at two ways the Constitution can be changed, both formally today and then later on in another video or in class informally. So we need to look at what's an amendment, first of all. Like, what is an amendment? Like, so then we have basically it's basically a change to the written words of the Constitution, a basic change to the written words of the Constitution. I'm going to take my fat mug off the video, and a change to the written words. The formal amendment is changes or additions that become part of the written language of the Constitution. That's formal. We've had 27 of those formal amendments. So you have as part of this, we've had 27 formal amendments to the Constitution, and two of them negate themselves, the Prohibition amendments, but we've had 27 formal ones to the Constitution. So I want to look at changes or additions. I told you the primary method then is a proposal by 2/3 of Congress, a vote in both houses. It has to be passed by both houses of Congress, House and Senate, by 2/3 vote. Ratified by 3/4 of the state legislature. So it doesn't have to be like 3/4 of the vote by the state legislature, but each state legislature, be it bicameral or unicameral, have to ratify it, and it has to be ratified in 3/4 of the states. There are other methods. The second method was done for one of the prohibitions, the proposal by Congress by a 2/3 vote in both houses, ratified by conventions held in 3/4 of the states. That second method has been used once. Third and fourth method, you need to get, a national convention. Basically, you would have delegates to a national convention, and when requested by 2/3 of the state legislature. So in other words, it's a way for the states to propose a constitutional amendment if needed. This is the third or fourth matter way for states to do it. But let me tell you how that ends up really happening in reality. The reality is the states petition their Congress people to pass it, and that's what ends up happening. So the national conventions called by Congress and ratifying conventions really are formal processes that really never have come to fruition. The first method is more simple because the houses of Congress are always in session frequently, and same with the state legislatures. And as we talked about the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution arose from concerns during the ratification process that the federal government was going to be too powerful. So they said, we will pass it if we give these great constitutional guarantees. And among them are, the rights of the accused, in the amendments near and dear to my heart, 4 through 8, the amendments against illegal searches and seizures, the right to trial by jury, the right to not have to confront your witnesses, to not have to testify against yourself, the right to have an attorney, all of those things that they're constitutional guarantees. The First Amendment guarantees of freedom of speech and free exercise of religion and the freedom of the press. These are all fundamental tenets that we hold dear and dear to our heart, and that they're in the Bill of Rights as part of the Constitution. Other constitutional amendments, which we may discuss in class as well, are what are the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments known as. The 13th and 14th are known as the Civil War amendments that were passed to after the Civil War to be able to allow for the South to be able to rejoin the Union. And so those were in the emancipation of the slaves. The 14th Amendment is a lot about due process of law. We'll talk extensively about the due process of law as we go along with the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment allowing African Americans the right to vote. So those were all the Reconstruction amendments that were done to allow the South to come back into the Union, basically. So that's in a nutshell the formal amendment process, and again, we have 27 of them. Some of them more relevant than others, 22 limits the number of terms the president can serve. They're the ones that change the electoral college. So we may spend some time looking at those, but just to get a quick overview of amending the Constitution amending the Constitution as it currently stands. And next, we'll get into the informal amendments as we go along.